My practice over many years as an artist has involved the interface between both art and science. And I've been particularly interested in the relationship between matter and energy. And in this very large work coming up for sale, it is a work entitled Rod, Latent Light. And it is quite an austere work. It has a very large black field, which is energized by marks which imply light, but the light is designated by a series of parallel lines, something you'd see in a comic book or in the background of Duccio's great Transfiguration. The rod itself is a very simple primary structure, and it relates symbolically to the rods of the great shamans. In our own culture, the rods are also extremely powerful. We see them in nuclear reactors. We see them as neon tubes. So they move between the sacred and the profane within my work. And here we have a physical representation of the rod, which is attached to the drawing. And then there is a drawn representation, an abstract form of the rod itself emitting light. So it has a kind of eeriness to it, and that it sits really not on a table or in a landscape, but in the darkness of the mind. So it is what we'd call an eidetic image, an image that is created by the mind itself, a bit like when you rub your eyelids and you see that very intense sense of pattern or color. And so much of my work has been trying to map the external world and the internal world, and the way that rods can be physical or they can be metaphysical. So for many years I've worked on this bonded fiber fabric, which is an artificial fiber which is totally neutral, so it's not acidic, and it takes my pastel or charcoal deeply into the surface. And I have always focused on drawing because I'm interested in the transferred nature of mark onto the surface, so that every mark is registered on that surface and is read, whereas in a painting very often you can smooth it out. So here the work floats in the frame, so it hangs as a veil, and the background is done with graphite and with a black pigment rubbed into the surface. And the graphite catches the light, so at times it glints and you see that there is light in the darkness. And then I'm working here with a very intense red pastel pigment, and the white is what is left of the original pure whiteness of the page. So that flare implies the power of the rod itself, which becomes almost phosphorescent, or it sits in the world of Fohat, of fire, which is fire you cannot grasp or hold. It is in the physical world, but it sits between worlds, and it transforms. If you burn a piece of paper, it transforms it into ash. So it releases the atomic charge, as it were. So and that happens on the physical level and on the molecular level and on a metaphysical level. So I'm alluding to all three of those within a work like this.